Did you know that the principles of Stoicism can help you find inner peace, no matter what challenges life throws at you? Many people believe happiness comes from success or wealth. But Stoicism teaches us that what truly matters is learning to control ourselves and live by reason, not emotion. So, what exactly is Stoicism? Can it really transform the way you view life and the daily challenges you face? Welcome to Wisdom Daily. Today, we'll dive into one of the most powerful and ancient philosophies in history, Stoicism. This philosophy not only helps us overcome suffering and life's challenges, but it also holds the key to finding true inner peace. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by worries or emotions, Stoicism can offer you a clearer way to live harmoniously and control yourself. Let's explore how Stoicism can be a powerful tool to help you live a peaceful and meaningful life. Introduction to Stoicism. Stoicism, the philosophy of inner peace. Stoicism is an ancient philosophy from Greece, with the goal of helping individuals live in harmony with nature and reason. The origin and development of Stoicism. Stoicism isn't just a school of thought, but also a powerful way of life that has endured for thousands of years. It originated in Athens around the 3rd century BC during the Hellenistic period, a time of great political and philosophical change. Zeno of Citium, a philosopher from Cyprus, is considered the founder of Stoicism. Zeno began studying philosophy after experiencing personal failures and found comfort in the ideas of other philosophical schools. However, his version of Stoicism was unique, focusing on living harmoniously with nature and using reason to govern one's actions. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. After learning from philosophers like Socrates and Plato, Zeno began teaching his philosophy in a special place in Athens called the Stoa Poikile, painted porch, which is where the name Stoicism originates. Zeno believed that reason was the most important element for living a good life, and that true virtue could only be achieved by living in accordance with reason and accepting the natural laws of the universe. He emphasized that everything that happens in life has a reason, and we must accept and live with these events as part of the natural flow of life. The development of Stoicism under Chrysippus. After Zeno, Stoicism grew and flourished under the leadership of Chrysippus, one of the most significant Stoic philosophers in history. Chrysippus expanded and clarified the core ideas of Stoicism, especially in the areas of logic and ethics. He wrote over 700 works, although most of them have not survived. However, his influence is still felt through the references and quotes found in the works of other philosophers. Chrysippus helped Stoicism become a complete philosophical system, covering 3 main areas: logic, physics, and ethics. Stoicism in the Hellenistic period and its widespread influence. Stoicism quickly became one of the most popular philosophical schools of the Hellenistic world, competing with other schools like Epicureanism and skepticism. Throughout this period, Stoicism spread not only in Athens, but also to major cities in the Greek world and later to Rome. Philosophers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius brought Stoicism closer to the public and applied its principles to everyday life. Their works, like Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, continue to be widely read and studied today. Stoicism, born in Athens and developed over generations, became a strong and influential philosophy that shaped the thinking and way of life of many people. From Zeno of Citium to Chrysippus and the Roman philosophers, Stoicism has continued to evolve, offering a powerful tool to help people live in harmony with themselves and the world. But what is it that makes Stoicism so enduring and relevant today? Let's explore the influence of Stoicism in the modern world in the next section. The core principles of Stoicism: reason and emotion control. One of the most important core principles of Stoicism is the emphasis on reason as the means to control emotions. Stoics believe that we cannot control everything that happens in life, but we can control how we respond to events and circumstances. Instead of letting emotions like anger, anxiety, or fear dominate, Stoicism teaches us to use reason to respond in a calm and rational manner. When facing difficulties, instead of feeling helpless, Stoicism guides us to recognize and deal with the situation calmly and thoughtfully. Emotion, control to achieve inner freedom. When dealing with life's challenges, Stoicism teaches us not to be overwhelmed by negative emotions. Instead, we should learn to identify and adjust our feelings so they don't affect our behavior. Stoics believe that true freedom comes not from controlling the world around us, but from controlling ourselves, our reactions and emotions. By following this path, we can maintain calm and control in any situation, fostering a sense of inner peace and stability. Virtue as the only true value. In Stoicism, virtue is seen as the only true value in life. Things like health, wealth, or fame are considered indifferents. They do not have inherent value and cannot bring true happiness. Stoics argue that these factors are external and outside of our control. The only thing we can truly control and develop is virtue. Qualities such as patience, fairness, honesty, and self-discipline. Only when we live with virtue can we achieve true peace and happiness. Why virtue is more important than everything. Else Stoicism asserts that only virtue can lead to lasting inner peace. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus pointed out that life is full of change and difficulty. But if we live with virtue, we can maintain peace of mind regardless of external circumstances. Instead of chasing after external goods, like wealth or success, Stoicism teaches that happiness comes from living a virtuous life, grounded in wisdom and reason. Only through virtue can we experience true fulfillment and tranquility. Everything outside of virtue is indifferent. A fundamental concept in Stoicism is that everything outside of virtue is indifferent. This means that health, wealth, relationships, and power, though important in material life, do not hold intrinsic value. They are external factors that cannot determine our true worth. Stoicism encourages us to focus on developing virtue, as it is the only true source of lasting peace and happiness. These external factors are not harmful in themselves, but they should not be the source of our happiness or self-worth. The core principles of Stoic ethics focus on living a virtuous life, controlling emotions, and accepting what cannot be changed. Stoicism teaches that virtue is the only true good, and that everything else, health, wealth, status, are indifferents with no real value. By following these principles, we can live a life of integrity, harmony with nature, and find lasting peace and happiness. Through Stoicism, we learn that true freedom and happiness are found not in external circumstances, but in the cultivation of virtue and reason. 3. The philosophy of free will and determinism. The balance between free will and determinism. One of the most intriguing and sometimes controversial concepts in Stoicism is the balance between determinism and free will. Stoicism teaches that every event in life, from the grandest moments to the smallest occurrences, is part of a universal plan and is controlled by logos, the rational principle of the universe. This means that the universe operates according to a set order, and everything that happens has a reason behind it. However, Stoicism does not suggest that humans are entirely powerless in the face of life's events. The concept of logos in Stoicism. Logos, according to Stoicism, is the principle of reason and order that governs the universe. Stoics believe that everything in the universe, from the stars in the sky to the events happening in our personal lives, is influenced by logos. Everything that occurs has a reason, and because of this, we are encouraged to accept these events as part of the natural flow of life. Stoicism advises against resisting fate or the things we cannot change, and instead teaches us to accept and live harmoniously with them. Free will in Stoicism. Although Stoicism teaches that all events are determined by fate and logos, it doesn't mean that we have no free will. Stoics believe that while we cannot control external events, we have the ability to control how we respond to them. Our reactions to life's challenges, our actions, and our thoughts are entirely within our control. This freedom to choose how we respond and act is what allows us to live a virtuous and peaceful life. It is this ability to maintain control over our reactions that gives us true freedom. Inner control in life. Stoicism does not deny that life presents challenges and hardships that are beyond our control, but this philosophy teaches that we can control how we react to these situations. For example, if we face a challenging situation, like losing a job or receiving criticism, Stoicism encourages us not to be overwhelmed by emotions like anger or anxiety. Instead, we should accept what we cannot change, focus on what we can control, and maintain calmness in any situation. By doing this, we cultivate inner freedom and peace. The philosophy of acceptance and action. The Stoic view on free will and determinism can be summed up in a famous quote from Epictetus. "We cannot choose what happens to us, but we can choose how we respond." This highlights the Stoic perspective that, while fate and logos may determine the events of our lives, we still have the power to decide how we react and act. Stoicism teaches us that true freedom doesn't lie in controlling the external world, but in controlling ourselves within it. By living according to reason and virtue, we can maintain peace and fulfillment despite the unpredictability of life. The Stoic philosophy of free will and determinism provides an insightful view of how we can live in harmony with the universe while still exercising our own freedom. While Stoicism believes that all events are determined by fate and the rational logos, it also emphasizes that we have the power to control how we react to these events. Living according to Stoic principles allows us to accept what cannot be changed, take responsibility for our actions, and find peace within ourselves, regardless of external circumstances. By embracing both determinism and free will, Stoicism offers a path to true freedom and inner peace. Having understood how Stoicism balances free will and determinism, let's now explore how this profound philosophy has influenced other schools of thought and notable historical figures. The influence of Stoicism, Stoicism's influence on other philosophical schools. Stoicism did not develop in isolation. It profoundly influenced other philosophical schools such as Epicureanism and skepticism. While Stoicism emphasizes reason, virtue, and harmony with nature, Epicureanism, founded by Epicurus, promotes seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. Despite these differences, both philosophies share the common goal of achieving ataraxia, a state of tranquility or peace of mind. However, Stoicism diverges significantly by asserting that lasting peace and fulfillment come from virtue and reason rather than physical pleasures or external comforts. Additionally, Stoicism interacted significantly with skepticism, a philosophy pioneered by Pyrrho. While skeptics questioned the certainty of absolute knowledge, Stoics maintained that humans could understand and live according to universal truths through reason. Despite their disagreements on knowledge and certainty, both schools encouraged acceptance of life's uncertainties and aimed at achieving inner peace by cultivating a balanced outlook. Socrates and his indirect influence on Stoicism, though Socrates himself was not a Stoic. His teachings about ethics, reason, and the examined life profoundly influenced the later development of Stoicism. Socrates emphasized the importance of self-awareness, ethical reflection, and virtue as keys to true happiness and peace of mind. These ideas significantly shaped the philosophical landscape of Athens and provided foundational principles that later Stoics would build upon. Stoics adopted and expanded many of Socrates' core insights, such as the critical role of virtue and reason in achieving a harmonious and ethical life. Socrates' famous principle of knowing oneself inspired Stoic philosophers to stress self-awareness as essential to living a virtuous and meaningful life. Although Socrates lived well before the formation of Stoicism, his ethical teachings provided a crucial intellectual groundwork, indirectly shaping Stoic philosophy's emphasis on inner reflection, virtue, and reason. The influence of Stoicism. On later philosophers, Stoicism's influence extends far beyond its original founders, reaching influential Roman philosophers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. These thinkers adapted Stoicism's philosophical ideals to practical daily living, helping make Stoic wisdom more accessible and relevant to the general public. Their writings, such as Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, remain widely read and influential today, offering timeless wisdom on living virtuously and calmly amidst life's challenges. In modern times, Stoicism continues to have significant practical implications, especially in fields such as psychology, notably through cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. CBT incorporates core Stoic ideas such as reframing negative thoughts, managing emotions, and focusing on elements within our control. The Stoic principle. It's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them, has become a cornerstone in CBT, effectively helping people cope with stress, anxiety, and depression. Stoicism's enduring legacy, the lasting impact of Stoicism is undeniable. Its teachings on virtue, emotional self-control, and acceptance of the uncontrollable have deeply influenced philosophers, psychologists, and thinkers throughout history. Stoicism has inspired personal growth and social movements alike, providing a framework for building just, resilient, and harmonious societies. Today, Stoicism remains a powerful guide for anyone seeking ethical clarity, emotional resilience, and lasting peace of mind. The influence of Stoicism reaches far beyond its original philosophers. From its interactions with other philosophical schools to the indirect yet profound influence of Socrates, and its lasting legacy in the works of Roman philosophers and modern psychological practices, Stoicism continues to offer invaluable insights. Its principles remain as relevant today as in ancient times, guiding us towards peaceful, virtuous, and fulfilling lives. 5. The parts of Stoic philosophy logic, the foundation of Stoicism. One of the most crucial components of Stoicism is logic. Stoics view logic as the foundation upon which the rest of their philosophy is built, as it helps us understand truth and how reason works. Logic in Stoicism is not just about formal reasoning, but about how we use reason to evaluate and assess our beliefs, actions, and emotions. Stoics believe that in order to live a good and virtuous life, we must be able to analyze situations logically and make decisions based on reason, not be led by emotions or irrational thinking. Logic in Stoicism and practical examples. For example, when facing a stressful situation, Stoics would use logic to analyze and understand that emotions like worry or anger are only temporary reactions and do not define the true value of the situation. This allows them to stay calm and not let emotions dictate their actions. Logic, for Stoics, is a way of seeing the world and understanding events with clarity and perspective, leading to a life with less anxiety and more thoughtful decision-making. Physics. Understanding the universe and nature. Another key aspect of Stoic philosophy is physics, or how Stoics explain the universe and the laws of nature. Unlike other philosophical schools, Stoicism sees the universe as a unified system, where all elements are interconnected through a principle known as logos, the rational order of the universe. Stoics believe that everything in the universe, from the stars in the sky to the events that happen in our personal lives, is influenced by logos. Nothing happens by chance or without reason. Physics and acceptance of nature. One of the highlights of Stoicism is the emphasis on accepting nature as it is. Stoics believe that we cannot control everything in the universe, but we can live in harmony with nature and accept the things that we cannot change. For example, instead of complaining about bad weather or unforeseen circumstances, Stoics encourage us to see these events as part of the natural process and learn to accept them. This mindset helps reduce stress and brings a sense of peace and balance in life. Ethics, the path to happiness. Finally, ethics is the part of Stoicism that most people are familiar with today. Stoic ethics is not only about doing good, but also about living a life of virtue and reason. Stoics believe that virtue is the only true good, and that happiness can only be achieved through living in accordance with virtue. For Stoics, virtue is not something abstract, but is expressed in practical actions such as patience, fairness, and self-control. Only by living virtuously can we achieve true peace of mind and happiness. Ethical Stoicism and how to live a happy life. The important thing about Stoic ethics is living in accordance with nature and reason. Stoics argue that happiness does not come from possessing external things, such as wealth or health, but from living a virtuous life. Only by focusing on virtue can we experience real fulfillment and tranquility. Stoic ethics teaches that a good life is one where we maintain control over our emotions, actions, and thoughts, even in difficult situations. The three main parts of Stoicism, logic, physics, and ethics, are not separate from one another, but work together to form a complete system of philosophy. Logic helps us understand and analyze the world around us. Physics explains the universe and the laws of nature, and ethics shows us how to live a virtuous life and find happiness. This combination of reason, nature, and virtue creates a Stoic philosophy that is not only relevant in the realm of thought, but is also a practical guide to living a fulfilling and peaceful life. Through Stoicism, we learn to live in harmony with ourselves and the world around us, no matter what challenges life may bring. The ethical principles of Stoicism: living virtuously to achieve inner peace. At the heart of Stoic ethics is the principle of living virtuously. Stoics teach us that true happiness and lasting inner peace come directly from cultivating virtue, qualities like patience, fairness, honesty, and self-discipline. Virtue isn't an abstract concept. It manifests through everyday actions, guiding us toward ethical decisions and meaningful interactions with others. By consistently choosing virtue, we align ourselves with reason and achieve harmony within our lives. Virtue as the only true good. Stoicism emphasizes that virtue is the only true good, distinguishing it clearly from external factors such as wealth, health, fame, or status. These external elements, termed indifference, might be desirable, but have no intrinsic power to grant lasting fulfillment or happiness. Stoics assert that since these external factors are ultimately beyond our complete control, basing our self-worth or happiness upon them inevitably leads to disappointment. By prioritizing virtue, we place our happiness firmly within our control, safeguarding our inner peace against life's inevitable uncertainties. Why virtue matters more than anything else. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus highlighted repeatedly that virtue is foundational because it provides stability in an ever-changing world. Life will inevitably present us with challenges, loss, setbacks, criticism, but virtue serves as our reliable anchor. A virtuous life grounded in wisdom allows us to maintain a steady mind and tranquil heart, regardless of external turmoil. By valuing virtue above all else, Stoics show us a clear and dependable path to lasting inner peace. The role of self-control and emotional management. As previously discussed, emotional self-control plays a crucial role in Stoicism, enabling us to handle powerful emotions like anger, anxiety, or fear through reason rather than impulse. Ethical Stoicism emphasizes this self-control not as suppression, but as balanced management of our emotional responses. Everything outside virtue is indifferent. A central Stoic idea is the neutrality, or indifference, of everything external to virtue. Material wealth, social status, relationships, and even physical health are viewed as neither inherently good nor bad. Instead, Stoics argue that their value depends entirely on how we use them in relation to virtue. For example, wealth can be beneficial if it supports virtuous acts, but it should never become the measure of our worth or happiness. Stoicism encourages a balanced approach, reminding us to use external resources wisely, always guided by virtue. The ethical principles of Stoicism offer a practical and profound path toward living a meaningful, balanced life. By prioritizing virtue, managing our emotions with reason, and clearly recognizing external factors as indifferent, we cultivate an unshakable inner peace.
Stoicism thus becomes not only a powerful philosophical theory, but a daily guide for achieving lasting harmony with ourselves and the world around us. Today, we've explored how Stoicism can guide us toward inner peace by emphasizing virtue, emotional control, and accepting what we cannot change.
Remember, true happiness is found in virtue, not external circumstances. I'm sure you can feel a shift in how you view life and the challenges you face. Stoicism is not just a theory, it's a practical way of living that helps you reduce stress, live peacefully, and develop yourself every day. If you found these Stoic principles useful, share this video with your friends and family so we can all learn and grow together. And don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss another valuable video from Wisdom Daily. What do you think about applying Stoicism in your own life? Leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Join Wisdom Daily as we continue to explore more life-changing philosophies that help you become stronger and more peaceful each day.